Okay, so you want to know which one's better, vegan or carnivore? Well, I did both. I did both for quite a few months. At one point, I was 272 pounds and I was ready to lose some weight. And I figured I'll do anything. And I had watched a lot of documentaries and saw all kinds of stuff about being vegan, plant-based, curing heart disease, all kinds of stuff. And I figured I'll do anything. So I went plant-based, whole food. I cut out all the oils. Anytime I cooked something in a pan, I used water and I stuck to it. I got lots of greens, lots of beans, lots of vegetables, plenty of fruit, lots of potatoes, rice. Like I read so many books. There's a book called The Starch Solution, and I read that book by Dr. McDougall, and I stuck to it. I was religious about it. But I'll tell you what, it took a lot of effort. I'm pretty sure I'm addicted to food. And every day I would find some way to try to satisfy that craving and addiction. I would go look for different types of bread that I could potentially make or buy that would make me feel like I was eating real bread. I would salt the bread so well that it made me feel like I had butter on the bread. I even found a way to make cornstarch into some sort of a butter. I mean, I went to very far extents to try to satisfy my desires for food. And when I ate a lot of food. I mean, there's not a lot of calories in lettuce or spinach or kale. So I was either eating a lot of those vegetables or I was eating quite a few potatoes and rice and whole wheat pasta and whole wheat bread and so on and so forth. I think you're getting the message right now. While I was on this diet for quite a few months, I went to a wedding. And at the wedding, something came over me. I decided I'll give in and just have whatever they're having at the wedding. I was hungry. It was hard to stick to the diet. It was one of the hardest things was sticking to the diet because not every place had fresh vegetables and not cooked in oil and had enough of it to put on your plate and all the things. So at this wedding, I gave in and I had a burger. From that point on, I couldn't get back to the diet. There was something about the meat that was calling my name. My body said, there's something in this. I gotta have it. And we're not going back to that plant-based diet. I felt good after I had that burger. It was weird. Felt different. I wasn't used to it because I had gotten so used to how the plant-based diet was making me feel. But something after I ate that burger said, plant-based is not right. At that moment, I didn't really have any guidance or direction on what I should be doing. So I ended up putting a lot of weight back on. I went from 272 down to 202 and back down up to 252. It's quick. I remember back when I was on that plant-based diet, my brother told me something about a carnivore diet, and I thought he was crazy. There's no way a carnivore diet can be healthy for you. How do you get all them vitamins? What about fiber and antioxidants? Well, eventually I stumbled on some videos and I heard some things and some doctors talking, and I said, could this be real? Could the carnivore diet actually be something that is good for you? Could it be that it's not just a fad weight loss thing? Well, I figured whatever I was doing definitely wasn't working. I was getting more and more unhealthy every day that passed. So I decided to give the carnivore diet a shot. I felt guilty. I felt like I was doing something wrong. There's no way eating a couple pounds of bacon is good for you, or using all that grease that you just got from the bacon to fry a dozen eggs. Everything that I had ever been taught in my whole life said meat's bad for you. There's no way that it could be healthy for you to sit down and eat a whole rack of ribs. If you're gonna eat meat, I was always told, eat something super lean, like chicken breast. Instead, these influencers on YouTube have been saying, eat the fattiest meat you can find. Ribeyes, chuck roasts. It sounded backwards to me. But I figured, what's the worst thing that could happen? I gain more weight? Become even more unhealthy? Because I was definitely getting to a point that was so unhealthy, I was going to have to be on all kinds of medication. Blood pressure was high, cholesterol, ridiculous, triglycerides. It was just all bad. Well, I got this little app right here that tells me what day I'm on the carnivore diet. And It says that today is the 132nd day of me being on carnivore diet. My journey on this carnivore diet has not been perfect. I have cheated. There was, on my 90th day, I decided to eat some watermelon. But after that watermelon, I was able to get right back to eating the way I was. Then I also have to admit, the watermelon was on purpose. But about 2 weeks ago, I don't know. I went all day without eating. I went over to my father-in-law's house, and he had some cashews, and I grabbed a handful, and that handful turned into a smorgasbord of cheating. That night was just a blur of sweets and of just any type of carbohydrates I could find. But the very next day, I was back on track. I've never been able to do that with any other diet that I've ever been on. Calorie counting, fasting, keto, vegan, whole food, plant-based. Heck, I couldn't even eat a burger without going off the rails. But somehow I've found something I can stick to. One thing I want to point out is that when I was on the plant-based diet, my whole goal was to try to find something enjoyable. Let me find a way to make something that seemed like butter. Or let me find some sort of way to make ice cream out of a bunch of frozen fruit. Since I've been carnivore, there has not been a time where I'm trying to think of a way to make bacon into something it's not, because bacon is good, steak's good, ground beef, hamburgers, it's all good. And I'll tell you what, carnivore, it's simpler. There's only a few things you can eat, and it's all good for you. The whole food, plant-based vegan thing, there was a lot of work. It was hard to stick to. Here's a weird difference. I don't tell a whole bunch of people this, but it's weird. When I was plant-based, I had so much gas. It was so much gas to the point where I couldn't keep it in. I'd be at work, walking somewhere, and it was just coming out constantly. And not just like quiet, not like silent, but deadly, like loud. But since starting carnivore, it's weird. There's no gas. There's nothing. It's just all gone. I don't know what it is. I want to think that it has something to do with plant matter fermenting in your body, but I really don't know. I'm not scientific that way. I just am telling you my experience. It's nice. The weight loss on carnivore and plant-based, I can't really say that there's been much of a difference in the scale necessarily. I've been successful with both. But what I will say is that the way that my clothes fit and the way that my body structure is, carnivore seems way different. I feel like I've been able to keep my muscle a lot more. Strength and performance in the gym is way better. I think it has to do with a much higher level of protein and a much higher quality of protein. And if you were asking right now, which diet do I prefer? If you watch the video this long, I think you know. Carnivore is the winner. If you're not a subscriber, I want to remind you to subscribe. And if you want to check out my first 30 days on the carnivore diet, check out this video right here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.